Welcome to the Love Holistic Living Podcast, your roadmap to heal and align mind, body, and soul and become intuitive through food, pleasure, and spirituality with your host and Italian friend, Sara. I didn't know I was an empath, honestly, until a couple of years ago, a few years ago, actually, when I went on another soul searching adventure, very short, but that kind of opened my horizon and my whole life made sense. In this episode, though, I really want to shed light onto the empath and weight gain and how the body speaks so deeply for an empath, because so many of the women that I've coached that were categorized, I would say, like busy working women, like managers, CEO, but they were having like weight gain and health issues. And I'm like, wait a second, there is a relationship here between the empath and weight gain. And this is what I figured out and downloaded also from Spirit Guide and from myself. And all of that made sense. If you identify yourself as an empath or a sensitive woman or man, it can come in two different forms, because the empath itself or highly sensitive personality, they're slightly different. Like, let me talk straightforward about empaths, because empaths are more of like the sponge. We feel everything. Like, we feel the energies of a room. I can walk into like a meeting full of people or like just a birthday party and understand the energy without people saying anything. I can also understand, like, from their eyes, their body language and things like that, what they're feeling. And like, being empathic is really feeling what they are feeling. And sometimes this comes as a curse and also a superpower, because we are constantly overloaded and overstimulated, and society doesn't really reward the trait of empathy. It's kind of like pushing us to disconnect from our sensitivity, because we've got to push through, we've got to work out and don't listen to what the body's saying. Like, we've got to work out 7 days a week and maybe your body's screaming in pain, or we've got to keep going into like this 9 to 5, you know, corporate job and always pushing to meet goals. But it's like your sensitivity is your superpower, and you've got to honor that. You've got to honor your innate intuitive nature. And if you don't, that's when the body starts speaking to you. So today I want to shed light on the fact that if you are what we call sensitive personality, and again, the empath is the sponge. So you can walk into that meeting and then walk out and you're like, why am I feeling angry? Why am I so resentful? Why am I in pain? And it's not even yours. It's maybe like your coworker's like emotional state. That is the empath. That leads me to talk about why you may be carrying extra weight as an empath. If you don't have these three things figured out, simple three things, yet very complex. And I train empath. I mean, I attract empath by nature because I'm so empathic. I've also experienced so much through the body. And the first one that I'm going to go into, if you're having like extra weight gain and or some health issues, like, you may be lacking protection. And I'm specifically talking about the protection of not absorbing other people's energy and emotions. And what it does to the body is that when you walk into that job, when you go and have a meeting, that could be a Zoom, that could be virtual, that could be on the phone, that could be in person, you know, that could be going out and be social all the time. Like, if we lack protection and we carry that home, then that's staying in our system. Remember, an empath is a sponge. So by nature, we act like a sponge. You know how a sponge acts, right? You put it under water and it absorbs water. The same thing is happening to you. So by nature, you're a sponge. You can walk out of the door right now, meet your neighbor, and kind of pick up her stuff. You can go to the grocery store and pick up their stuff. You can go to your kids' school and pick up their stuff. You can, every time your kids come back from school, They, if they're empathic, pick up the energies. They come back home and then they're like all over the place. No wonder. And then you get all over the place. Have you ever noticed this? So I have empathic children and I'm an empath, and it's a very funny dance all the time because they're kind of like picking up so much stuff and I need to be the anchor. And then I pick up stuff and it's like that's why it's so important for me to ground my energy every single day and to cleanse it so that I can be rooted for them. But the lack of protection in your life could be actually the reason why you are having certain health issues and certain, like, maybe weight gain. And let me tell you another story because there was this client and we've been working together for a long time. And I, you know, could tell, we worked through a lot of the empath stuff. And then one day I got to see her in person, which was beautiful. And I placed my hands on her. That's how my gifts work through Zoom and also through like the body. If I place my hand, I read a new information. I read a new information that I haven't picked up before or it wasn't the right time when we coached before because there were other stuff, that we needed to cleanse and clear. What was happening because she had been suffering from like chronic autoimmune disease, right? The body started to like show this. And, she felt so frustrated. And then I'm like, wait a second, because there is something in your life right now that is stressing you the hell out. And you have zero protection on this. Like, that's what it's showing me. And every time you talk to this person that is calling you kind of like every day, then you take it on. And this person is not an easy person, that you're dealing with. Yet you can't let it go. It's the same thing with another client, and she was like, "Every time I talk to my mom, you know, then I get mad, I get frustrated." There was a history between her and her mom, and then I said, "Okay, she is not an easy personality to handle." We're not saying it's right or wrong, but when you don't have a personality that like is easy to handle, or it could be your sister, could be your brother, and there are some people that we call like energetic vampires. I'm not gonna go too deep into this. Those people that like keep calling you, keep like throwing, their garbage, their emotional baggage or garbage onto you. And you're like, oh my God, I feel like I've been listening to you for an hour and I feel so depleted, right? Hey, exciting news! Do you want to go to Italy with me on a culinary and spiritual journey? Do you want to experience Italy through the eyes of an Italian? Join me for an intimate luxury women's retreat in June 2024 with good food, good company, meditation, healing, soul provoking conversations to help you rest, rejuvenate, and awaken your soul. This event will be shared with 7 other women in one of the most beautiful local towns in northern Italy. Spots are limited, and if interested, visit loveholisticliving.com/Italy-retreat. Again, loveholisticliving.com/Italy-retreat. So excited. What's happening is that this stays in your system because you may not have the knowledge how to release it and cleanse it. That starts to create like inflammation in the body that starts to like pound on, like on top of your garbage, on top of your emotional baggage, there is the other person emotional baggage. Then you have maybe your spouse emotional baggage. Then you have your kids emotional baggage. So we act like sponges, and little do we know that in less than 12 hours of daytime, we have absorbed at least 5 people's garbage. I like this word. Emotional baggage, not garbage, emotional baggage. Got it? So learn to protect your energy. And I have a course that is called the Empath Survival Guide, designed to help empaths learn this new skill set. So I'm going to place the link below. The second one is lack of boundaries. This is kind of like my favorite. I mean, protection is like number one, is what you need to know and do every single day. But number two is a lack of boundaries. And people are like, how can my lack of boundaries be affecting my weight? I'm going to explain you why. When you go into people pleasing, let's just say it's a beautiful new week. And then someone calls you, your sister calls you, can you come to my house and help me like move furniture? And you say, okay, yeah, I'll do it. Then your mom calls you, hey, can you come and do like grocery shopping for me? Like I need this. And you're like, okay. Then your friend calls you. I'm going through a lot with my spouse. Can you come and can you stay on the phone with me? Because and maybe she calls you every single day and you say, okay. Then your boss calls you and says, well, can you do this for me? And you say, okay. Then your coworkers tells you, hey, I've got to get out early today. Can you finish this up for me? And you say, okay. What happened? That in less than a week, or maybe it could happen in one day, you have accepted to carry other people's burden. And by you saying yes, by you agreeing to people pleasing others, you are suddenly have no boundaries. You've just showed that you have no boundaries. Two, it's a lot on you. Like it's a lot to carry other people's weight. And where is that going to go? That's going to create more stress on you. So you just said yes to a bunch of stress that it's not needed, but you said yes because you can't say no. That's going to put you in survival mode. Suddenly you're feeling freaked out because you need to go grocery shopping. You've got to help your sister move the furnitures. You've got to boss jobs, and the coworkers job. And then you have to also be on the phone for your best friend that's going through something. Guess what? Who didn't have the boundaries and who is paying for it? You. Believe me, I was one of those people. And I always felt exhausted. And what would happen is that I would be okay for 2 weeks and then I would be crashing for a whole entire week. And I was sick. I would be good for 2 weeks and then I would be crashing with a fever or like a health issue or a virus because the lack of boundaries that I had in my life really stressed my body out and weakened my immune system because I was running thin. I wasn't pouring and nourishing my cup. I was just giving it all away to other people. And who paid for it? Me. I paid with staying in bed sick. So if you feel this resonates, this is shift that you need. Start saying no. And let me give you another shift. Another way to shift this is to believe with the core of your being, when you say no, you're doing them a favor. Because when I say no, remove the guilt for a second. When I say no to you, I am helping you grow. When I say no to carry your emotional baggage or your whatever it is and doing the work for you, I'm helping you grow and pull your crap together. It's okay one time. Life is not black and white. Believe me, I love helping friends. But when that becomes a habit, we're crossing the line here. So it's okay to help people. Believe me, it's okay to, hey, I'm coming over, I'm cooking for you. Like, I have this beautiful relationship with my friends, and I'm like, I'm coming over, they're coming over, and we're like, let's support each other, but it's equal. When I need them, they're there. When they need me, I go there. And it's beautiful, but it took me some cleansing to do in my relationships because those people that were in my life when I started to stop my lack of boundaries and I started saying no, those people didn't like it. And so you start noticing that you have to say no and you have to say no for yourself. And some people are not going to like it. And some people are going to say, well, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to exit your life. And you're going to be like, fine, someone else with better boundaries who's going to respect me is going to come my way. That is the shift that I want for you. And again, go and check out Love Holistic Living / courses, the Empath Survival course, if this episode speaks to you. And number 3 is history of carrying guilt and or shame. So a lot of the time, an empath being guilt tripped all of her life or his life and or has been feeling ashamed or, people are treating him with him or her with shame. I'm going to give my personal example. Like for me, it was common in my personal family to guilt trip people. Oh my God, maybe you can relate with this. Like, I laugh right now because I'm out of the cycle, but I can still tell when my parents speak to me and the way they speak to me. And I'm like, okay, we're entering the guilt trip of why I'm not staying for dinner and that I'm a bad daughter. But at the same time, I'm not carrying that. Like, you need to stop carrying the guilt of everything in the world. Like, you need to stop feeling guilty because that person is sad because you just said no to staying over for dinner. It's on them. And you can be like, look, I see that this is hard for you that I'm not staying, tonight, but at the same time, I'm really tired and I wouldn't be a good company tonight. And they're still not understanding. That's on them. So a little bit more of like self confidence here. Maybe that's what you need. We all need that. But it's the same thing with shame. So a lot of the times we carry the shame of like, oh my God, I did that. Oh my God, like, how can I feel so ashamed, that I did a certain thing. And then what we don't release, we carry. That is why my primarily like gift is healing. Whether I'm healing through words or I'm healing through energies, is like we've got to release it. And release can come in many different beautiful forms. That's crying, that's dancing, that's hiking, that's punching something. Make sure it's a pillow. Oh my God, not a person. But yeah, I have a punching bag outside in my backyard because when I feel really mad or I need to like punch something, it's there for me. And I've learned to be okay with my emotional state and I've learned to like release, 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 release. That was kind of like what the episode was about. And if you're experiencing extra weight gain and or health issues, this might be the root cause. So another thing, and this is the last example that I'm giving you today, but like I have learned from a very young age that I couldn't work in a normal 9 to 5 environment. Like I couldn't work with a lot of people. And I'm talking about the environment, like going to a place. And I used to own a restaurant and I used to work in restaurants, even in Italy. And that stresses me out. Like I can work one on one, I can work in group coaching, but I would say when I'm dealing with a lot of energy all at once every day, and I'm not choosing my own schedule and I'm not choosing the people I want to work with because they just come. Like I also used to be a massage therapist. And under like when you work in spas, you don't choose your people. They just come because they book it for you, right? I realized after looking at all my life and I was like, okay, I did this job, I did this job, I did this job. And every time I like something happened with my body, I started gaining weight, I started emotionally eating, I started having severe pain or gut health issues. So what does this tell me? It tells me that the environment is not right for me. It tells me that I do better when I choose the people I'm working with, like the energies that I'm working with. I do better working from home because I protect my energy better. I don't really do good in coffee shops. Maybe you're different, but an empath, remember, we need to protect our energy. So, this was the last example just to kind of like help you understand how it works, and I have another empath, like actually I'm going to give you one more. Another client, she's a beautiful empath and she works in the social services department. She loves the job, yet we've had this conversation many times. You carry like that's heavy energy. People are angry, people are sad, people are going through a lot. And I'm not saying you have to quit your job, but I'm just suggesting that you think about it twice. That either you step up on the cleansing routine and protection mode, or yeah, you might have to figure it out a different route. And that is on you to figure it out. If your body's speaking, please listen. And yeah, that was it. If you are again interested in the Empath Survival course, go ahead at loveholisticliving.com/courses. And I'm going to put the link down below. And hopefully this episode resonated with you. I'd love to hear your feedback and a big ciao.